The crimson skies of Kethmore blazed with toxic storms as General Vexthul watched the human shuttle land on the molten landing pad. He had expected the fragile pink creatures to emerge in full environmental suits, gasping and trembling. Instead, Captain Sarah Chen stepped out wearing nothing but a light jacket, breathing the sulphurous air like it was a spring morning on Earth. "Welcome to hell," Vexthul muttered in his native tongue, his 4 arms crossed in disapproval. The Galactic Council had made a grave error inviting these newcomers to the Deathworld summit. For 3,000 years, only the most hardened species had survived the brutal trials of Kethmore. The Krillians with their diamond-hard exoskeletons, the thermal voids who fed on radiation, the pressure wraiths who thrived in crushing depths. These humans looked like they belonged in a nursery, not on a world where the very air could dissolve metal. Captain Chen approached the towering alien general, her boots crunching on the crystallized sulfur beneath her feet. "General Vexthul, I presume?" "I'm Captain Sarah Chen, representing Earth's military coalition." Her voice carried an unsettling confidence that made the general's scales bristle. "You should not have come here, human," Vexthul growled, his voice like grinding stone. "This world kills the weak within hours. Your species has no business among the apex predators of the galaxy." Chen smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both friendly and terrifying. "That's what they said about Australia, and we turned that into a tourist destination." The summit began in the Obsidian Amphitheater, a natural formation carved from volcanic glass by centuries of acid rain. Representatives from 27 of the galaxy's most feared civilizations gathered to discuss territorial disputes and resource allocation. The humans sat quietly in their assigned section, seemingly unbothered by the chamber's crushing gravity and searing heat. "The Terran delegation will now present their case for colonization rights in the Outer Rim," announced the council moderator, a being of living plasma who existed in a containment field. General Vexthul leaned forward, eager to watch these soft creatures crumble under pressure. Instead, Captain Chen rose gracefully and began to speak. "Fellow beings of the galaxy, we come not as conquerors, but as neighbors. Earth may seem peaceful to you, but let me share some facts about our homeworld." Her words carried through the chamber with unwavering authority. "Every year, our oceans spawn hurricanes with the power of nuclear weapons. Our continents shift and grind against each other, creating mountains and swallowing cities. We have creatures in our deepest trenches that would make your nightmares weep." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Krillian ambassador clicked his mandibles in disbelief. "Impossible. Your planet appears so tranquil from space." "That's because we've learned to dance with chaos," Chen replied, her eyes gleaming. "We've survived ice ages that buried continents, supervolcanoes that blocked out our sun, and extinction events that wiped out giants. We didn't conquer our world, we made peace with it." The human captain gestured to a holographic display showing Earth's diverse environments. "We live everywhere, from frozen wastelands where the air itself can freeze, to deserts where the ground melts metal, to depths where the pressure would crush your strongest materials. We've turned the most hostile environments into homes." "You speak of adaptation, but this is Kethmore," Vexthul interjected, his voice dripping with disdain. "The storms here carry acid that dissolves starship hulls. The wildlife includes creatures that hunt by sensing fear itself." "Sounds like Tuesday on Earth," Chen said with a shrug. "We have spiders that can kill you with a single bite, fish that can electrocute you, and plants that digest anything foolish enough to touch them. The difference is, we've learned to live alongside them." The general's confidence began to waver as Chen continued. "You see, every species here has evolved on a single hostile world. You've each mastered one type of death. But humans? We've mastered them all. We're not the strongest, fastest, or most toxic. We're the most adaptable." "Adaptability is meaningless against raw power," snarled the thermal void representative, his form crackling with nuclear energy. "Is it?" Chen asked. "Then explain why the most dangerous predator on our world isn't the largest or strongest. It's us. We've outlasted creatures 10 times our size, outfought beasts with natural weapons we don't possess, and outthought beings with brains larger than our entire bodies. The amphitheater fell silent as the implications sank in. These humans hadn't just survived their death world, they had thrived on it. They had turned a planet of endless dangers into a nursery for their species. General Vexthul felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries, genuine unease. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Partnership," Chen replied simply. "You've spent millennia fighting over scraps of habitable space. We're offering to help you expand into territories you've written off as uninhabitable. Together, we can turn any world into a home." The Krillian ambassador leaned forward. "And what do you gain from this arrangement?" Chen's smile widened. "New challenges. New places to explore. New ways to grow." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You invited us here thinking we'd be intimidated by your power. Instead, you've shown us that the galaxy is full of beings who've given up on impossible dreams." "We never give up," she continued, her voice carrying the weight of her species' history. "We've turned deserts into gardens, oceans into highways, and the vacuum of space into our playground. Your death worlds? They're just new neighborhoods waiting for the right tenants." The plasma moderator flickered with what might have been amusement. "The Terran delegation has made their position clear. We will recess to consider their proposal." As the assembly dispersed, General Vexthul approached Captain Chen. The human woman stood calmly as the massive alien loomed over her, his 4 arms spread wide in a display of dominance. "You realize what you've done here today?" he asked, his voice carrying a mixture of respect and warning. "You've declared yourself the apex predator of the galaxy." "No, General," Chen replied, her voice steady and warm. "We've declared ourselves its gardeners. There's a difference." "And what difference is that?" Chen looked up at the alien general, her expression serene despite the hellish landscape around them. "Predators take what they need and move on. Gardeners make everything around them flourish. We don't want to rule the galaxy, we want to help it grow." As the human shuttle prepared for departure, General Vexthul watched from his command post. The fragile-looking creatures had not only survived the summit but had fundamentally shifted the balance of galactic power. They hadn't done it through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through a simple demonstration of their greatest weapon, the absolute refusal to accept that anything was impossible. The crimson storms of Kethmore continued to rage, but for the first time in his long life, General Vexthul wondered if even they might one day be tamed by these remarkable beings from the third planet of an unremarkable star. The humans had proven that the most dangerous thing in the universe wasn't the creature with the biggest teeth or the strongest armor, it was the one that looked at every obstacle and saw an opportunity. As the shuttle disappeared into the toxic atmosphere, the general made a mental note to update his files on the human species. Next to their entry, he would add a single word that would change how the galaxy viewed them forever: unstoppable.